Brian in Fort Collins, Colorado. Hey, Brian, what's up? You want to talk about Mike Pence?
I do, Tom, and the screener admonished me to get straight to my point. Listening to you,
good on Nate.
There's so many things that I would like to talk about, but let me go. Let me quickly give you like a little bit of lighthearted thing that you could put on a T-shirt, which would say, "I'm not anti-American. I'm anti-stupid." So
okay.
Anyway, Tom. To my main point, and this is founded on the idea that Americans are so desperate to believe that, we are exceptional, that our leaders are exceptional. And now you're seeing it play out with Trump. He gives a speech, and so they want to think, everybody wants to think he's normal. They're so desperate to believe that. So to my point about Mike Pence, he is in this, he wants us to believe that he has been in this bubble, totally oblivious to, the multitudinous contacts with the Russians, and the only, he's outraged that Flynn lied to him. This is, I go back to the title of the movie, All the President's Men. All the president's men are involved in this Russian thing, even if it's only, as willful ignorance or plausible deniability, Tom. And, somehow we have to find a way out of this because, Pence, at the very least, was appointed by Donald Trump, who is a maniac, and so are all his cabinet members. So. Yeah. I don't know if we can go extra constitutional or what, but this is, putting up with 4 years of this is just unacceptable. What do you think?
I think that it's a big mistake. I think that if the Democratic Party is going to put all its bets on Russia bashing, that's something that, I mean, you can scare Americans. We did that with Saddam Hussein. We ended up with an awful war. If you want to do Russia bashing, we could end up with a far more awful war. Russia is they've got 8,000 nuclear weapons. I have seen no, the evidence here is so far non-existent. When, if some evidence comes out that Russia was doing nasty stuff during the election, then let's raise hell. But there is no evidence at this moment, and this is the point that the guy who I'm forgetting his name, but the publisher, the editor of the New Yorker, he's got his entire issue is devoted to that this week. And the day before yesterday, or maybe the day before that, he was on Rachel Maddow's show on MSNBC, and he basically said, the Russians hated Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and there's a very clear reason why. When the Soviet Union was dissolving during the presidency of George Herbert Walker Bush and the tail end of Reagan's, Gorbachev made a deal with both Reagan and Bush Sr. that he would dissolve the Soviet Union and let these countries go, let Poland and Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia and Ukraine, and just let them go in exchange for an assurance from the United States that NATO would not be established in any of these countries that were contiguous with the Russian border. Much like we said back in 1963 to Russia, you may not put your nuclear weapons in Cuba, which is 90 miles off our shore. So that was the deal. And Bill Clinton broke that deal. And that has been a thorn in the side of the Russians ever since. And so, I agree with his consensus that, to the extent that Russians might have been, or the Russian government for that matter, might have been trying to, take a nick out of Hillary Clinton, that it was for that reason. They didn't see her as a person that would work with them, given what her husband had done, and given her own rhetoric. And whether that's a true interpretation or not, I believe that is their interpretation. And that's really weak stuff to take down the Republican Party with. I think that the Democrats are making a huge mistake by not pointing out that the Republicans, and this should be hammered. I mean, if the Democrats had done anything close to this outrageous, the Republicans would be hammering on it. That the first thing that Donald Trump did was make it harder for average working people to buy a home by increasing the profits of banksters. The second thing he did was make it easier for coal companies to poison tens of millions of people downstream from coal mines by allowing coal mines to, mountaintop coal mine removal, to dump their crap, to dump their waste, their poison, their mercury-laden, chromium-laden, lead-laden, radioactive-laden waste into our streams. He blew up the U.S. Streams Rule. That he's stacked his cabinet with he's got, 4 Goldman Sachs people in his cabinet and 3 other Goldman Sachs people as close advisors, including Steve Bannon. He's got, the guy who used to run Goldman Sachs as his chief economic advisor. He's running us down the road toward oligarchy and kleptocracy. And nobody's talking about these things. And these are the things that actually win elections. Americans don't, it's not going to motivate Americans to go to the polls thinking that Donald Trump might, be favorable to Putin or Russia. That's not going to get people out of their houses and down to the polls, one way or the other, frankly. But knowing that Trump and the Republicans are going to take away your health insurance, knowing that they want to take away your Social Security, knowing that they want to poison your children and you, all in the name of profits to the industries that own them, that's the stuff that wins elections. And it concerns me, frankly, and I find myself in a somewhat difficult position saying this, but I just, it really concerns me that the Democratic Party is putting all their chips on this one, on this one, 28 on the roulette wheel, of Russia, when they really should be distributing their chips on, he's destroying working people, he's destroying our air, he's destroying our water, he wants to give away Western lands to the drillers and the polluters. He wants to. I mean, there's so many things that Trump has already done that are outrageous, and they're getting no coverage at all. Because this Russia thing is just consuming everything, and until there's some evidence, I don't think that this is going to be a solid story. So anyhow, that's my take on it, Brian. I'll along with everybody else, I'll say, okay, these guys should talk about who they talked to and what they said, and it looks like Jeff Sessions lied before the Senate, and that's a terrible thing. And Bill Clinton lied about having sex, and he got impeached for it. That Jeff Sessions should lose his job over it if we're holding to Republican standards. I'm totally down with all of that stuff, but we need to broaden this beyond just outrage about a foreign government. That is not the kind of stuff that wins or loses elections, frankly. Until or unless you can prove that Donald Trump and Mike Pence and these guys are actual traitors, and I just don't believe there's any evidence of that. Brian, thank you for the call.